Hi everyone, hello. Oh, just bumped my table. How are you guys today? It's Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art, and I'm going to be popping on here and painting with you today. We'll take a minute or so to get ourselves organized and shared into the groups, but hello and welcome. Let me pull you up on my computer here. We're going to paint something fun that I just thought of earlier today, and I've been frantically painting a few samples for you, so I'll show you what that is. Let me find my page here. Hope everyone's doing well today on this Monday. I'm so glad to be back with you guys. I was MIA for a little bit this summer. It's been a busy summer, and I was back last week, and it was kind of fun to be back in the group live again. So welcome. Thank you guys for coming, and say hello when you come in. And let me know. I'd love to know where you're watching from. I'd love to know what you like to create, all the things. And if you have any questions, put them up there. I will, if I don't see them go by, I'll come by and answer them later on. And I think you can see everything here. Good. It's a mess. Don't mind the mess today. I'm usually a little bit more organized, but welcome. So we're going to paint some fun little Frankensteins and Mrs. Frankensteins today up from paintbrushes. These are really fun. These are a little 1.5 inch brush. I just happen to have some here. I have painted these paintbrushes before. I've painted them as Frankenstein. I've painted them as like Frida Kahlo. I've done all kinds of little faces on them. They're really fun. So I just quickly painted these up. They're not really done yet, but I wanted to show you what we're going to work on today. Very simple. These little chip brushes, I actually use, when I have an old chip brush and it's all ratty, I sort of save them all and then I use them to paint on. These were actually just, I just bought these, but Evangeline and Cindy, hi and welcome. So we're going to paint some Frankenstein and Mrs. and Bride of Frankenstein on these little chip brushes. They're really fun. You could do little pumpkin faces on them. You could do all sorts of things you could do for Christmas. You could maybe do nutcrackers and Santas and all kinds of things. So it's kind of fun to repurpose something, and inexpensive materials too. Hi, Cecile. Thanks. Nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. We're going to have fun today. So I'm going to put these here so you guys can see them maybe. Can you see them on the screen there? Let's see. There. And I've just prepped. The only thing I've done to these little things, these are just chip brushes. You can get them at the dollar store. You can get them at the craft stores. They're handy for painting, but they're handy to making little decorative items with too. I've put a coat or two of gesso on them. Not the wood so much, but the metal part here is a little hard to paint on when the acrylic paints. So I just take some gesso, put a couple coats on. I sand the handle down a little bit. It's when you do a coat of acrylic or gesso on the wood, it raises the burr of the wood. So I just give it a little sand to make it nice and smooth in order to paint on. So I'm having a wonderful summer, Cecile. I'm up here in Maine, and I'll be heading to Florida in October, but I am having a nice summer. It's gone by too fast, though. Have you guys found that? It's just too fast. So I've got my base coat of gesso on here. I'm just using ordinary acrylics. Whatever you might have would work. Just inexpensive acrylic brushes, synthetic brushes. And I'm going to just start, I'll probably work from the top down a little bit so I'm not putting my hands in the wet paint. Yes, Cindy, you can put gesso on pretty much anything. If you can get it to stick for a few coats, you're good. If I was painting it on plastics or resin or something, I might put it on more gently, let it dry, let it get a little tooth, and then put some more on as well. Hi, Anne. Nice to see you here. Thank you for popping on. So I'm just going to take my flat synthetic brush. I'm going to take just black acrylic paint. I'm going to do their hair. And let me move these because these are kind of blocking. And let me know if you guys can't hear me, can't see me, and whatnot. Catherine, hi again. And Tracy, thanks for sharing me, and I appreciate it. And here we go. Okay, so these are what we're going to do. Really fun little Halloween decor. I'm going to just brush this black paint on for the hair. On both of the brushes, I'm going to use black. And I almost don't even mind if some of the brush bristles show through. And you can put as much or as little as you want. So I just brush on. It's so simple. You can line your brush right up with the top of the brush, and the flat brush just lines up nicely, and there you go. And as much coverage as you like. I just paint a little onto the side. Sometimes I'll take the brush horizontally and just kind of get that paint in there a little bit. Oh, you know what else I painted on these is Elvis. I've painted Elvis is on these brushes. It reminded me with the black hair, so that's kind of cool. Hi, Babs and Glenda and all you guys. If I miss you coming on, you're very welcome to be here. Thank you. And today's segment is going to be a little Halloween decor. We're going to do Bride of Frankenstein and Frankenstein on these chip brushes. I seriously just thought of this a little while ago. I know I've painted them before, and I looked through my photos, and I could not find the photos of the ones I've made. I don't know why. I usually take pictures of everything. So I thought I'd quickly paint up some samples. These aren't completely done here, but just to give you an idea what we're doing. I put little screws in for the bolts on the neck. Hi, Alan, Becca, Pam, nice to see you. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you for saying hello. It really is wonderful if you could throw a comment, even if it's just an emoji. Oh, Michelle, first time following, welcome. It helps all of us creators online to get eyes on our pages and on our lives simply by giving us an emoji or a thumbs up or a little comment. Hi, Catherine. They're sort of new. I forgot that I had these, and they were in my car in the glove box, and they're prescription readers. I love my polka dot glasses, you know that, and they're just from Zenny, so they are an inexpensive but fun brushes. Thanks, Catherine. Me too. It's so much easier, and this is just letting it go since last summer. So, anyways, you guys are so nice to notice in the lovely comments. We're going to put some white little stripes in Bride of Frankenstein's hair, but we're going to let that dry first. I'm going to paint green for their faces. Any color green you have, anything you like. Remember what I'm telling you guys when you're painting with me, as I told my group this morning that I painted with, it's not about replicating exactly what we do. If it doesn't look exactly like mine, it doesn't matter. Use it for inspiration and then make your own design, take it your own way. And that's what it's all about. Not getting frustrated if it doesn't look just like mine or whatever creator you're following along with. It's just all just for the joy of painting and creating. So it's not serious stuff. Thank you for sprinkling me out, you guys. That is fabulous. I really appreciate it. So we are on the way to painting these fun little pieces. I was on last week and I told you I thought I was going to paint these little buoys I found at a yard sale. I was going to paint these today as pumpkins, these little wooden buoys. But I just couldn't wrap my head around what exactly I want to do with them. But you know what I'm thinking now is I think they might be fun to be painted with Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein on those. They were kind of a cool shape for that. So I think I will do that on them instead. So maybe we can do that next week if you aren't all Frankensteined out by then. So I just paint the metal part because it has a few coats of gesso. If you're just popping in, it has a few coats of gesso on the metal part, and I even did it on the handle, just so that the paint would adhere to that little metal bit of the brush. And you can see it, the paint goes right on there nicely now. If you tried to paint your acrylic paint right on the metal here, look at how transparent. It would take forever to get it to cover. So gesso is your friend in that case. I paint down into the handle a little bit as their neck, so it kind of gives you the shape of a face. And we will just paint down a little bit on the sides. And then for the bride, I keep calling her Mrs. We can call her Mrs. Frankenstein or Bride of Frankenstein, I suppose. I make a little V-neck because she's going to have a little white gown on, such as it is on the handle. And then Frankenstein is going to just be the same, but he's going to have a little rounded collar. If you have any questions so far, it's just these little chip brushes, some gesso, and some acrylic paint. Doesn't have to be expensive and doesn't have to have a lot of colors. It's pretty simple. Just inexpensive acrylic synthetic brushes. A lot of you might have this already on hand. It might be fun to jump in and do something like this. So his little neckline will be right about here. I would put 2 coats of this green paint on, let it dry in between. I have my hairdryer handy in case we need it. Anybody that's new to me, I am Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art. I am an online creator. I teach acrylic painting online, in person. I have a couple of art memberships. If you're interested in learning how to paint, I am happy to take you into our fold, our wonderful group of creatives. We paint together live and with recordings every month. Tinker's Cartists, that's the name of one group. And the a la carte group is just one painting a month recorded. The Cartist group, we do 3 paintings a month, recorded and live. And Charlotte's here. Hello, my friend. Good to see you guys. And hi, Becca. So we're going to let that dry. And I'm going to go ahead and put on Bride of Frankenstein's hair those little white streaks she's got going up there. I'm going to try to wiggle it a little bit. Can you guys see all right? You can, right? I'm going to do it upside down. And I'm going to try to wiggle it so it's just kind of got this sort of look. And it might take a few coats to get it to be as white as I want it to, but that's okay. We'll just get a little bit on there. I'm just almost patting that paint on. I want it kind of thick so that it shows up there. So I do a lot of acrylic painting with my groups. We do a huge assortment of things. Craft Around the Clock here, I try to do more quicker little projects, sometimes little tutorials, fun little crafty projects that we can do with painting. And because Bride of Frankenstein is going to have a little bit of a white gown showing, I'm going to paint that in a gray. And just as a little tip, I'm doing it gray because it's going to be a white gown. So you can see here, it's gray to start. And then when it dries, we put the white on top and it makes it look like there's little folds and things in the gown. And gosh, Donna, everybody, Michelle, Carol, welcome, 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 you guys. Thanks for being here. Today, Monday, nice start to the week. I'm coming to you from my porch in Maine right now. I'm in southern Maine for the summer, if you're new to me. And then I am in Florida in the winter, so I'll head down there in October. And, oh, Becca, thank you. I love painting all sorts of things, whether it's canvases and whatnot or whatever I find. Thrifting is a really fun challenge. Globes, old ice skates, tin things, you name it. We did the little ceramics last week, remember? And I meant to mention this. The internet is spotty up here a little bit. So we got kicked off. If I get disconnected from you guys, hang tight, refresh the page, I come right back. Just been having a little problem this summer. I don't know. Sort of kicks me on and off. But if you lose me, don't panic. I will be here. And I usually try to post the recording. I have to check the recording from last week to see how that worked out. If it worked out, I will post it. So I just painted what's going to be the top of her little dress in a gray. I'm going to do his in black and then maybe put like a little bit of a purple jacket on, but it's so thin it's hard to see what he's wearing, but he would have a black shirt on. So we'll do that. I need a little more black paint. I have a lot of deco art colors. I'm just using acrylic craft paint. I do love the deco art. It has a little more coverage than some of the store brands. And what else? Oh, and if I have a second, I'll pull up some paintings that we just did. If you follow, I would invite you to follow me over on my page. I'm also a fine artist, so you'll see some of my fine art there. I love plein air painting. That is painting outdoors. I was outdoors on Saturday at a big plein air event up here in Maine, which was super fun. So here we are. Our paintbrushes now are pretty much covered with paint, which is a great place to be because now we can go ahead and do the details in the fun part. A lot of times with acrylic paint, you need to put multiple coats. And the tip for that is to let it dry in between your coats. So this is just about dry now. I'm going to go ahead and put another coat of green on just so the coverage is better. But sometimes, we're all impatient and we want to just get that second coat on. It's best to have some patience, let it dry, nice thin coats, layering it up rather than putting it on real heavy and then trying to put another coat on top. Sometimes that just wipes your paint off. So have a little patience or just use your hairdryer or a heat gun or something. But I'm going to quickly just put a second coat on that. I'm going to add a little yellow to my green just to brighten it up a little bit. So have you guys all been creating some fall and Halloween things? It's that time. I can't believe it, but it's that time. I see my friend Laurie. Hi, Laurie. Thank you for tuning in. This is one of my oldest friends. George sometimes is here. He's my oldest. He and Peggy, my oldest friends. Laurie too. We went to grade school together, and we're still friends. And that's the best feeling in the world, isn't it? To treasure those connections you've made as children, and how lucky to still catch up. Like if we have gone a few months and we get together or talk, it's like we just continue on. I hope you guys all have friendships like that too. It's the best. It really is. And I love it when I see family and friends and just popping onto my lives. It's like a little reunion. Because I love to paint, and I'll sit here and paint all day long, but it's so nice to be here with people, with you guys, sharing ideas. So do post what you guys are working on. What are you looking forward to doing in fall? It doesn't have to be painting. It could be whatever it is that you love to create. Or if you just love to watch all the creators, which is fabulous too, what would you like to see us do? I always am curious as to what you want to see, because I'm willing to paint anything. I've painted the craziest things. If it stands still, I'll paint it. So I just get a little more white on Bride of Frankenstein's hair. I hate to do this, is put the hairdryer on. I know it's loud, but you know what? If I could just dry this up a little bit, we can get right into the fun details. So just going to do that for a second. That wasn't too bad. Sharon, I know, and I love watching all the other creators. I love watching other painters. I love watching other crafters. And it's relaxing, and it gives you ideas, and it does get you a little motivated. Sometimes, and we all have the problem of losing our motivation sometimes. I mean, I do too, whether it's for painting or whatever. Sometimes you just you get in a little rut, and it's hard to get started again. But watching the creators and getting other people, you see what other people are doing, it really does get you kind of in the mood again. And sometimes I also find that just going into my craft area and organizing and putting things away really helps too. I might want to just then, once it's all neat and I see what I have and what I want to do, it sort of helps. Reaching out to other people that craft and friends as well. Get together with friends and do a craft night. That's my favorite thing too. Sharon, yes, I know. And you know what? That's the other thing. I have on my website, if you take a look, I know I have a blog on there about finding time to paint and some of the obstacles that you create for yourself. And sometimes it's hard because if you don't have a little corner to put all your things in, it's a great, easy way to say, oh, I just don't feel like dragging it all out. But if you do, and if you can just find a little corner or a desk or anything, 20 minutes a day, try it. 20 or 25 minutes a day, and you'll be surprised how much you accomplish. And once you do those little small periods, it's not a big investment in time. Most times you probably get into the zone and stay longer. But if you enjoy those few minutes that you're creating, you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again, and you're going to get better at what you do as well. I know it sounds easy, but sometimes just say, I've got 25 minutes and I'm going to just sit and I'm going to paint for 25 minutes. And you'll be surprised at what you can come up with, truly. So I encourage you to and I do a lot about talking about my sketching and how easy it is to incorporate art every day simply with a little sketchbook. It doesn't even have to be paint. Sketchbook, maybe a few colored pencils. Just to sit, get out of your head a little bit sometimes and just draw. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be people. It doesn't have to be straight lines. Just creating, it really makes you feel good. It's joyful. And that's my public service announcement for the day. So, okay, I've got the gray there for her little gown. It's not much. These are simple. We don't need to get too detailed. So if I just take white on my flat brush, you could use a round brush, and I'm going to just kind of get some white strokes here, just to kind of emulate a little bit of a little gown that she's wearing. She wears like a little white dress, say. It's not much, but you can see I put some highlights on there. I've got a little of that gray showing through. I'll shade it a little bit afterwards. A little bit of way, the process is I will put the base color of what, the local color, what it is I want. I'll give some shadows. So on the faces, I'll do some dark green shading. I'll do some light green highlights. That carries across to even when I'm doing canvas painting a mid-tone, then I get some dark values and some light values. So it's sort of some of the same principles. So I've got my mid-tone was the gray. I'm going to get some light there, and then I'm going to shade a little bit when that dries. I'm going to just take a little purple and see if I can't create some sort of what might be just a little bit of a jacket on Frank here. You know, he wears that kind of black turtlenecky shirt, and he may have a gray jacket on, but I want to make it purple because everything doesn't always have to be as you think it should be or as you observe it. I love the way green and purple work together, so I'm not going to make a gray jacket. It will be too dull. I'm going to give him a purple jacket. Just do what, when you're out painting and you're creating, do your own thing. There's no rules, no right or wrong. The painting police are not going to come along and say, oh, well, his jacket should be gray. So there he is. So I've got kind of those colors all on there. Let's have some fun with the faces. And let's see. Hi, Trudy and Glenda. Hi, you guys. Hi, Dolores. Thank you for being here. We have a great group for a Monday afternoon. Lots of times you see me in the morning, but this worked out today, so I am glad you found me here. I'm going to have to turn them right side up, or now it's upside down for you guys, but just to do the little faces. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and just paint the faces on, but you could certainly use a pencil, piece of chalk or something to indicate where you want the eyes and the nose and all that business. I'm going to wing it, but I usually start with the nose, because if I get the nose on the face, I know where the eyes go, I know where the mouth goes, and it sort of works. These are just little whimsical, fun paintings, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to just make a little light green nose, and let me make a lighter green with this yellow. And I'll take pictures of these afterwards, because I mentioned that I don't know where the pictures of the ones I have painted previously are. So I'll try to keep it as flat as I can so you can see. And I'm going to have a chin here. You know what? I'm going to put the chin line in first so I really can eyeball where my nose should go. I'm going to just do a shading of a little bit of a dark green. I'll take some green and Payne's gray on my brush. I'm going to double load. If you haven't seen me double load or do washes and things, I just take the paint on a little corner of my brush. I pat it out a little bit so it sort of blends. And now I can give myself a shadow with just one stroke. I'm going to give a shadow at her neckline. So where her dress is, it would be a little bit of a shadow there. Can you see how I can just take that brush and it just blends beautifully for me? I don't need to do anything else. Her chin. I'm going to make her chin come down a little more like this, maybe more of a little, like a little bit, not as broad as Frankenstein's face is going to be. I'm going to have it come down more to a little point. So again, I just loaded that brush once and I did the shading around the dress and the shading under her chin. If I need to darken it, I can kind of pat that on more. And that is going to give me an idea where the face is and where to put the features. So I'm going to go ahead and just reload. I can do that right with this little puddle of paint I had here. I'll do a little bit of a shadow around his neckline too. And again, I'm taking just a little green. I could just very well have gotten a dark green out of the bottle. I don't have one here, so I just mixed green and some Payne's gray to get that darker shade. His jawline is going to be more square. So let me go and just come down here, come across, and make his a little more Frankenstein looking. And that's all I need for the shading on those two faces. So what do you guys think? I know it's already time to do fall and Halloween, but is it too early to start painting Christmas things, I wonder? Hi, Angela. Hi, Sharon. I'm kind of getting into that mode. Maybe I'll wait till I get to Florida. I'll be back in Florida right in the middle of October. But in my group, I do start painting some of the things early. We just did, we're doing a cute painting with witches. If I have a second, I'll pull it up. I have it here next to me to show you. So I'm going right in the middle of the face pretty much and making a little round nose. And that's just going to help me because then I know where I'm going to put. Eyes will go up above a little mouth down below. Just that nose in the middle is going to help me place the rest of the features. For eyes, I'm just going to make the whites of the eyes. Then I'll put in an iris and a pupil and a little highlight. Even on a little whimsical thing like this, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of a detailed eye. I think I'll do some of these though as Santas and elves though, and nutcrackers. I think that might be kind of cool. So I'll try to do those for you guys. So eyes. So I've got my nose placed, so I know right up above and over a little bit are going to be eyes. I'm going to give Frankenstein these kind of cute. He's going to be a cute Frankenstein. He's going to have these little. And don't panic if you aren't good at freehanding. These are still going to be a little wonky because I'm just freehanding them. You could sketch it with a pencil. No worries with having to draw everything with the paintbrush. And I do a coat of the white, let it dry, and I need to do another coat because I really want even though it's a little white of the eye that will show, I want that to cover well. And I also want a nice base for the eye color, which is probably going to be a light blue. Never too early for Christmas. I agree. Even Christmas in July, right? So, okay. Now, I'm going to make her have like a little more of an almond shape, kind of a cuter eye. You could look up, if you just Googled facial features and things, it's funny how you can do, just by changing eyebrows, shapes of eyes, different things like that, you can really get different emotions on your little characters. So if you were doing a bunch of these and you wanted to have kind of different looks, you could look up facial features. And for instance, if you put the eyebrows like this way, they're going to look like you're going to have an angry look. You could put a surprised look. It's interesting just by the different things that you could add to change them up. If you were doing these are great for maybe for a craft fair or something like that, or if you teach crafts or painting, these might be a fun little project. If you ever have any questions about that or what I used or anything like that, please just send me a message or comment on my page. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. So we have eyes, just the whites of the eyes now, and let that dry, and we're going to do another coat. And while I'm waiting for that, I could do a little shading on her little dress. And it's not much of a dress, so maybe I'll just use the Payne's gray again, which is what I kind of used to make that gray. And I'm just going to give a little shadow. Look how nice that looks when you just get a little shadow there. So that kind of makes a collar on the little dress. And then just maybe bring this down a little bit so it would be kind of like it's gathered maybe. Sometimes less is more too, so you don't need to do too much. I'm just going to indicate some flow, like the dress has just got some pleats in it, say, or I'm going to put a little more of a highlight on that. When that dries, I'm going to add a little bit brighter white. His little purple coat I like. I'm just going to go ahead and make it look a little like it's got a lapel. A little white into my purple, so I'm using the same color. I just want a little lighter shade. I'm kind of just winging this, so it might not be just exactly what I'm looking for, but let's just see what happens. Let's just see. So I'm trying to make it look like he's wearing a little suit coat, kind of. And because this brush is so teeny, it's kind of hard to see that little lapel, but I'm going to just lighten up a little of that purple there, just some texture, so it's got the purple background. I'm adding a little bit of white with the purple so it's lighter, and then I'll come in and give it a little shadow and some little buttons, so it's going to just be like a little jacket. Oh, a Grinch. Lisa, you're right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be cool. Remind me. Lisa's one of my members of my artist group, and Charlotte as well, who's here. And good. So you got to remind me, because you know how I forget things. I write them down, and if I don't look at the note, I still forget. And you know what we can even do? He's got a little turtleneck of sorts on. So let's just, a way to, I'm going to just make a little bit lighter bluey gray. More blue than gray. so it's just not the black hole here. If we just simply just do a little bit of blue there, a little bit of blue in the middle, I think maybe that will look like he's wearing a little bit of a turtleneck. It kind of does. I can do my little bit of a second coat on the eye for the white. We'll do some fun little stitches on their faces. I'm going to highlight a little bit of yellow on their faces. It's green and they're green, but I just want to brighten it up a little bit. And so I'm going to just take some yellow. I'm going to water it down a bit. I'm going to kind of glaze over that face. Glazing would just be over the dry paint, taking another color, a transparent color, watering it down, or using a medium if I need to. And it's not going to turn this yellow, but watch how much brighter it gets. It just brightens up a little bit. So I want to get the middle of the neck a little brighter. Maybe down here on the chin. Just going to brush some of that yellow around. Just brightens up the face a little bit. And it might not show up on camera as much as I'm hoping, but you get the gist of it. Alrighty. A little bit of yellow there. And like I said, I download these lives that we have here, and I post them again on my page. If you also are interested in some more lengthier classes, some landscapes and some other creative, I have all sorts of little tutorials and things on YouTube. I would love it if you went to my Tinker's Cart Art YouTube channel and subscribed. You'll find a lot of free classes and lessons there. And it might just find something that sparks your interest and gets you started on your painting journey. These are cute little guys, so we are giving them rosy cheeks. I'm going to just make up a little bit of a pink here. I don't really want to make them so solid as if they're like round, solid painted cheeks. I'm going to kind of almost dry brush a little bit, which means I have the paint on my brush. I wipe most of it off, and you put your nose on, so now we know where the eyes are. So we know under the eyes are the cheeks. So it's kind of like a little bit of a jigsaw puzzle, but we're going to just put on some cheeks here. I'm kind of doing it a little light, so it's not a harsh circle. Not that there's anything wrong with that either. Like I said, make these things your own. You go ahead and you might have a style where you like to make just little round, rosy cheeks. That's okay too. I think the little nails that are in the brushes kind of lend itself to these Frankenstein and Mrs. Frankenstein's face. We'll have the bolts in his neck, but these little bolts that look like bolts on the face are kind of lend it to the look. I might even just dip my brush in white. I've got pink on the brush. Just dip it in white a little bit. And I might just, on the sides, just give them a little highlight. A little white highlight. And that just makes the cheeks look a little rounder. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a white highlight on the outside edges. Their nose is not showing up much, so I'm going to go ahead and just get a little wash of the darker color that we were using to shade around their nose. Let's just see if we can make that stand out a little more. And don't forget, you guys, say hello when you come on. Let me know where you're watching from. I'm in Maine. I'm going to do a little shading around her eyes. And I'm going to do a little shading around his eyes too, just to make those stand out a little more. I love putting the eyes in. That really completes them. So in a minute, we'll get to that. I'm going to go around the nose. And I'm going to give a little highlight on the nose as well. The nose was a light green, so I'll take light green. I'll add white to it, make it a little lighter. My palette's a mess, so don't judge. A little bit of a highlight on the nose. Okay, we're going to go into doing the eyes because they are the most fun. Hi, Jeannie. Welcome if you're new, and thank you for sprinkling it out. And please pop over to Tinker's Cart Art on my page and give me a follow. And like I said, if you're interested in some longer classes, go over to YouTube. You'll find some fun stuff. Blue eyes. I just like blue eyes on my guys here. So let me just mix up a lighter blue. And this is going to be for the iris, which is just a little bit of a circle here. If you're doing some finer work like this, then you paint down a little bit with some water. It'll flow easier for you. I made her eyes a little big. They were a little bigger than I'd like, but oh well. Isn't it about the process, you guys? Isn't it about just sitting down and painting and having fun than what exactly you get out? It's always fun to see what the outcome is, but I think the process, if you're sitting and enjoying yourself, getting out of your head, not watching the news and all the business, you forget about all that stuff and you just sit and you have fun. It's kind of like a lot of hobbies. Say you do jigsaw puzzles. You love to do jigsaw puzzles. You sit and you do a lot of time into putting those jigsaw puzzles together. You finish it. Nice sense of accomplishment, but it's not the puzzle that you end up with. It's the time you spent doing it and enjoying yourself. So same with painting. It doesn't always have to be the end result. It's more of the process, if that makes sense to you guys. I'm putting a little more darker blue in the eye. Her eyes, like she's staring at me. I'm gonna put some little eye. She's gonna have some eyeliner and some makeup and some work done. We're gonna make her less of that big stare. He's just gonna have like a little bit of a line for a mouth. She is gonna have some little lips. So let's give her, since we've got pink paint here. Actually, we need a teeny scooch more of pink. I'm gonna give her some lips. Come on. Here we are. And they are coming along, and we still have plenty of time, so that's great. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Cheryl. Nice to see you. And I'm going to make this a little lighter pink. So you can see I'm just working on a paper plate. I've just got some colors and I'm sort of mixing them all together as I go. You don't need a lot of paint to get started. If you think you want to start painting, but it just seems so overwhelming buying all the paints and all the brushes. When I teach in my group, a lot of times I try to keep very simple primary colors and show you how to mix. It's fun to go and buy all the colors because I do that too. And if you have them, that's great. But don't feel like you have to go and get all that. You really can get away with mixing a lot of your colors to start with. And I think sometimes that really makes your painting a little more cohesive if you just, I generally will paint, putting paint on me, no. If I'm out plein air painting or doing my fine art, I really use about 9 colors and then I just mix everything else. So because we started with the nose, we got the cheeks are on the sides, eyes are above, we know the mouth is under the nose a little bit. So that's kind of how I determine what my faces will look like. And after you do a few faces, you will get the hang of it and be able to just we're just giving her a little pink lips, maybe a little bigger than that. What do you think? A little bit. And I will shade that a little bit in a minute. So we have the whites of the eyes, we have the irises. Now we need a little black pupil. That's just a little dot, and I'm just going to take my round brush, dip it into a bunch of paint, and just give it a little dot. She's still looking too much like she's staring at me. I like Frankie's little eyes. She looks like a bit zombie-ish, but I guess that is the kind of the theme, right? Okay, let's give them some stitches and whatnot. So I'm just going to thin my black paint down. If I'm doing detail work, I thin that paint down. Flows off the brush much nicer. Crafty Hawk. Yes, practice does help, and I'm not trying to get a real portrait of a person. I'm just getting the little gist of it. So less is more sometimes. If I'm doing a more of a realistic portrait, I will just use shading and highlight a lot. I'm not going to paint a nose on. I'm going to shade around the nose, a couple little dark nostrils. You know what I mean? So you can try to keep it simple, and it is what I guess I'm saying. So she's going to get maybe some stitches on her neck, just a little thin line of black. You could probably use a little paint marker for this if you'd like, if the details are a little bit overwhelming. She's going to have, what did I do? I put some stitches on her face too. We'll do this some for Frank. While I've got that paint, I might as well give her eyeliner, and eyebrows. So I'm going to help those eyes. Look at how they're staring at you. That's a little much, right? So I'm going to really go right onto the whites of that eye with a lot of black to make a little eyeliner. Oh, I kind of like that. I'm giving her kind of nice eyebrows. And because the paint is nice and thin on my brush, it's flowing very nicely for me. When I do eyes, a lot of times I'll outline the top of the eye. I will not do the bottom. It looks a little too outlined. Again, another case of try these things different ways and see what you like to look at. Again, no rules. No rules at all. He is going to have kind of just a funny little mouth that is going to just go from cheek to cheek. I'll give a little line, and I'm going to just kind of do a zigzag. I do this face on my pumpkins a lot. He will get a little bit of something on the top of his eye. Oh, and you know, he's going to have hair that comes down a little bit, and she's going to have a widow's peak. I'll just give him a little eyebrow. It's going to be covered maybe by his hair. I'm going to use a thicker brush for that. So I'll just go to my other round brush. He is going to have, you know, Frankenstein hair coming down a little bit over his face. Pretty simple, right? You guys don't think this has been very hard? I think you could all do this. I'll give you homework. Do one step at a time. Get some little brushes. Just for one day, just sit down and put some gesso on them. Next day it'll be dry. You can get your base coat on. It doesn't have to be a big project. Okay, widow's peak on you there, Bride of Frankenstein. And if I feel like I want a little bit darker black on her hair, I can, you know, anytime I can do that. What are we looking at for time? We've got 4 minutes. This is pretty good timing. Hi, Jill. Hi, Gail. White highlights in the eyes are important. It just makes the little faces come alive. So a little white highlight, a little white highlight. Same on hers, even though she's staring. I might do a little bit bigger white dot, so she might, a little line maybe. Maybe she's less starey. I don't think I have a problem. She's okay. Should we give her some blue eyeshadow so she could be from 1979? Let's try that. A little blue eyeshadow on her eyes. Because, you know, we have all of like 4 minutes left. Maybe some eye. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She needs blue eyeshadow for sure. Now she's looking like I Dream a Genie, which would be kind of fun on this, too. I said I was going to give a little bit of a shading on Frank's suit. Just, again, I wet the brush. I did the corner in my shading color, pat it out a little bit. And let's just give a little shadow under the lapel there. I can do it on the side, too. And on one side of this soup coat, little buttons. You could just use the back end of your brush. You could use a toothpick. I'm just going to plop on some buttons. These guys are pretty much done, I think. Am I missing something? What do you guys think? And you can go ahead and, like, if I wanted to be, like, super detail-y, I could take even a lighter blue. This is kind of silly because they're just little fun, whimsical things, but I could put a little lighter shade on the middle of her eye shadow to make it look like the eye's really coming out at us. But that's getting a little picky because then you could start doing all kinds of details. I was going to put a little more white on her dress, though. And I could highlight her lips. So I could take some white. Oh, got 2 minutes left. So you guys, as a little reminder, there's another crafter coming up after me. I would encourage you to stick around, and I have to usually refresh my page to get the new crafter on. So you might have to just refresh your page. So I'm just going with some little streaks of white to make it look like this little gown she's wearing. I think that's pretty much it. Oh, I was going to maybe just her mouth. I'm going to just give it a little line between her lips. I don't know how that's going to look, but let's see. Yeah, so because I can kind of almost make it look like she's smiling a little bit by just taking those little lines and making them up. Oh, let me hold them up for you guys to see. So, the most important fun part, but you guys are going to have to do this on your own, is putting in these little screws. So I take a little tiny screw. I just take a nail or another screw. I just push that in a little bit and enough to put the screw in. And this is my favorite part, and I can't believe I'm doing it so quickly at the end. But then you're just going to screw that in for the bolts, and that is my favorite part besides the eyes. I would finish these up with a little coat of varnish just to protect them, to give them a little shine. I use a water-based acrylic Minwax polycryl. So here's our guys. I'll take a picture and I will post it. You can find the recording too over on my page. Please give me a follow. I would love that. And we're just about out of time, but you know what? I have 1 second to maybe just hold up. Really, I don't. I was going to hold up my paintings that we're doing the rest of this month in my group. I'm going to see you next week. Thank you guys for being here. Bye.